This podcast is made possible by listener members of Nashville Public Radio.
This is the Nashvillager Podcast. It's Friday, June 27th, 2025. On this day, in 2001, the late Governor Don Sundquist became the first in Tennessee history to veto the legislature's budget. This was back when there was more balance in the state legislature. Sundquist was a Republican. The legislature was led by Democrats. And in balancing the budget, the legislature had plugged some holes with one-time money that came to states through the big tobacco settlement. In a prepared statement at the time, Sundquist said, quote, "What I've seen makes my stomach hurt and my heart ache because I know that this General Assembly, as evidenced by the budget it chose to pass, does not care much for the future of our state," end quote. It hadn't happened before and it hasn't happened since, and we've had other periods with the governor being a different party than the legislature's majority. Vetoes are sort of rare in Tennessee because the governor doesn't carry as much weight as in other states. If the governor rejects legislation, the legislature just has to pass it again with a simple majority to override. Governor Bill Lee just issued his first veto, even though he's nearing the final year of his final term. The bill would have given the state more power to reject requests from prisoners to be released on parole. Lee said that the state's already making headway on reducing recidivism rates and that most prisoners will return to their communities one day, and helping them do that successfully through parole improves the safety of every neighborhood for the better. The budget, on the other hand, the governor signed without much fanfare. I'm Blake Farmer, in for Nina Cardona, and this is your daily digest of what's happening around Middle Tennessee from Nashville Public Radio, WPLN News. In just a few minutes, we get to know the gender-fluid rapper who this weekend is going to take Nashville's Pride Festival to church. That's coming up after the newscast. Here's the latest from WPLN News. The new Davidson County Jail, recently completed at a cost of $200 million, has failed a state inspection for overcrowding this week. Sheriff Darren Hall tells News Channel 5 that overcrowding has become a major issue because of a surge of enforcement and a lag in moving prisoners to state-run facilities. He says he's already in talks with Mayor Freddie O'Connell to build a larger facility on the Harding Place correctional site. Between Davidson County's two jail campuses, total capacity is roughly 2,300. They are currently combined 300 over capacity. Nashville Cares, a local sexual health clinic, is the sole presenting sponsor of Nashville Pride this year. That's after longtime corporate sponsors have decreased their support or abandoned it altogether. The Tennessean reports this is part of a trend across the South. LGBTQ Pride events in Alabama, Louisiana, and North Carolina have also experienced a drop-off in corporate sponsors compared to last year. In a survey of large business leaders, nearly 40% planned to decrease their engagement with Pride this year, with over half citing the Trump administration's anti-diversity, equity, and inclusion stances. In Nashville, Dollar General and Nissan have dropped their support for Pride. Meanwhile, Bridgestone has downgraded its sponsorship. A spokesperson says the company continues to support the event. Despite budgetary setbacks, Nashville Pride organizers tell Axios they're hoping for record crowds this weekend. The event kicks off today with a concert headlined by Kim Petras. A nuclear plant owned by the Tennessee Valley Authority tripped offline this week during blistering temperatures. WPLN's Caroline Eggers reports that the Sequoia nuclear plant near Chattanooga had electrical equipment failures.
TVA shut off both reactors at the Sequoia nuclear plant Tuesday afternoon. Power suddenly dropped by about 5% of TVA's total electrical capacity. And that matters most during extreme weather events, like this current heat wave. In response, TVA ramped up its gas plants and purchased more power from neighbors. So, spoiler, next month, your electricity bill will likely be a bit higher. And shortly after Sequoia tripped offline, TVA requested that customers voluntarily conserve power due to the heat. The utility did not mention the nuclear outage. Thursday morning, one of Sequoia's two reactors came back online, and a TVA spokesperson said the other one should be back up soon. This is now TVA's sixth unplanned nuclear outage in the past year. Caroline Eggers, WPLN News.
How many recipients of Tennessee's new private school vouchers will be students who were already attending private schools? We may never know. That's because applicants for the program are not required to share the information. The vouchers offer about $7,000 to help pay the cost of attending private school, and half of the 20,000 slots have no income cap this year. Chalkbeat reports similar programs in Alabama and Florida sent about two-thirds of their vouchers to students who were already enrolled in private schools, and the state's own analysis projected similar figures for Tennessee. Democratic Representative Caleb Hemmer, who has opposed the voucher program, questioned whether the state's decision to collect less data was to avoid bad press. Republican Education Subcommittee Chairman Kirk Haston says he's more focused on getting funds back to tax-paying parents. In May, the state announced more than 33,000 people had applied for the vouchers. It's unclear how many have accepted or denied. Some local artists with autism are using live theater for support and to bring awareness to living with disability as an adult. Their nonprofit, Bucket List Inspirations, is meant to be a resource for adults with autism. The organizers say there are several programs and services for children with autism, but few for adults, especially those who were not diagnosed until adulthood. One of them is Kat Eberwine, who founded the nonprofit, which includes a performing group called Neuro Spicy Players.
We have 4 performers, and each one of us is on the autism spectrum. What we're hoping to show is the songs and how we relate to some of these characters in musicals. It's going to be a very relatable night, and we don't want autism to be some word that's whispered in the background.
The Neuro Spicy Players will perform tonight and tomorrow at Mills Pate Arts Center in Murfreesboro. You can learn more about their nonprofit at bucketlistinspirations.com. New Orleans hip-hop giant Big Freedia has headlined her share of Pride festivals, but she's putting on a different type of show at Nashville Pride this weekend. She'll have some gospel music in the mix and the Nashville In Harmony Choir behind her. Freedia wrote and recorded some of her upcoming gospel album locally. Senior music writer Julie Height tracked down her Nashville-based collaborator, Parson James, to get his perspective on going back to church musically with a queer icon.
Big Freedia made her name with bass-heavy bounce bangers straight out of New Orleans clubs. But she's now embracing a sanctified sound.
Tell the congregation, this is Freedia Nation. Ain't no room for hating. Over here we're celebrating. My house, your house, east, west, up, north, down, south. Say what? Come to the queendom, you got the freedom to make you scream and shout.
Hear that call and response? Freedia's co-writer Parson James laid down multiple vocal parts to create that choir effect. The two artists met when they each performed at a Pride festival in Iowa in 2019 and kept in touch.
And then this, idea of a gospel record came around, and she had thought of me.
James had a reputation for making music haunted by gospel imagery.
Mama, I sinned again. I went to bed with another man. No, the town won't understand. Are you still gonna hold my hand? Say, Mama, I broke the rules. Gotta face these holy fools. It felt cold when they heard the news. Guess I better give my son the shoes.
But his songs reflected the alienation he'd come to feel toward his church upbringing.
Because I was a child of church. I was there Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. I was also in the choir. My relationship with the church had changed, obviously, because being an openly queer man and just how small-minded the churches that I went to growing up had become. It made me reshape how I felt about all of that.
Freedia wrote about leading her church choir in her memoir. Her New Orleans congregation was part of the same Black Baptist denomination as the one James attended in small-town South Carolina, and James says they compared their experiences.
When I talked about it with Freedia, she pretty much said that her experience was a lot of joy. She felt welcomed and accepted in the church that she was in, and I didn't feel that way.
So being asked to work with Freedia on music preaching a gospel message was well outside of James's comfort zone.
This is scary, but I think I'm going to just do it solely because Big Freedia is so iconic and incredible. There'll be no way that her intention is not going to be pure, and it's going to be safe for me. I was excited to just explore with her because it was going to take me back into a place that I'm very familiar with, but have been distant from for a while.
During their first session with another collaborator in LA and their subsequent meetups in Nashville, James began to get back in touch with his gospel chops. He'd feel an idea coming and sing it to Freedia.
She just was so encouraging. She's like, sing it louder. Go ahead now. Start, like all that sort of stuff.
Freedia wasn't content with lyrics that vaguely nodded to spirituality. Sometimes she'd lean into the type of traditional gospel language James had escaped years back.
I think message-wise, she was like, be direct. That's possible. We're talking about Jesus Christ. We're talking about God, our Lord and Savior here. I had to really get to a place where I was okay with even using words like Jesus.
What set Freedia's gospel apart?
What was it? Tell the congregation, this is Freedia Nation. Calling on my sinners, calling on my divas, calling on the straights and the swingers.
Calling all my divas, and my non-believer, even all my kinga, straights and the swings. What? My house, your house.
That means that like everybody's welcome. That means that this is Freedia's house, everybody's coming in.
She's extending an unconditional welcome to those who received condemnation from church. Freedia and James ensured that the song Take My Hand would bring everyone the spirit-filled ecstasy of a charismatic service.
You never know when you're going to leave church, especially if you grew up in like a Black Baptist church, because they say you can't leave until the Spirit leaves. And then so we were like, well, then we need to just keep the song going. That's when the praise break and then like double time. And at the end, they're still, take hold of my hand, Lord. We're just like, let's just keep it going. It should just feel like you have been so tired and you're finally leaving. You're fanning your face and you're walking out the church doors finally.
When Big Freedia headlines Nashville Pride on Sunday, she'll do the booty shakers she's known for, but she'll also mix in some of that new gospel material. And that may come as a surprise to those attending the festival celebrating the LGBTQ community. James says he wishes he could be there to see it.
My hope is that people can receive it and see how unique it is for an artist like Big Freedia to be doing something like this and then find some pieces of themselves in all of it.
For Nashville Public Radio, I'm Julie Height.
This is for my people that make up the church. We don't need an altar just to hear the word. Count up all your blessings, it's what you deserve. Your soul, your search, your song, your verse. So shine your light like you.
We do this roundup of Nashville news every weekday, so subscribe in your favorite podcasting app to make sure you never miss an episode. And if you like this, you'll probably enjoy the Nashvillager newsletter too. It is wholly different than this podcast, so please subscribe. You'll get perspective from more of my colleagues at Nashville Public Radio and links to the stories we're following. Sign up for those daily emails at WPLN/Nashvillager. Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch up next week.